There are a lot of different benefits to intermittent fasting. I know for me personally, it absolutely improved my quality of life, my quality of health, because they're synonymous. If you ask me, if you don't have good health, then your quality of life is absolutely affected negatively, right? It is a trickle down effect, right? But there are so many different benefits to intermittent fasting. And I think one primary reason, or one of the top reasons that people actually go into the fasting aspect, is for weight loss. So that naturally happens because, just like anything else, there is benefits in consistency, in scheduling, in what is the word I'm looking for? Routine, right? So when you are on a routine, you tend to be more disciplined. You tend to yield more consistent results, right? And so weight loss is definitely one of those things that definitely benefit, that are as a direct result of fasting. For people that have health challenges such as high sugar, hypertension, if you're battling, some organ issues at that time, a lot of that can be neutralized or eradicated from the body by fasting, by whether it's straight fasting, intermittent fasting. Fasting is fasting. It's basically a term that basically where your body is just, you're feeling hungry. You're feeling like your body needs something. So what do? You put food in your mouth. It's just like a knee-jerk reaction based off of the culture, the environment that we live in, with all these different types of foods that are accessible, that really, like the processed foods, the fast food joints, the restaurants, the convenience of it all, not wanting to cook at home, and then of course, when the prices are so high as they are at the grocery store, there definitely seems to be a correlation to get cheaper food out that's prepared, or at least it seems that way up front, as opposed to going to the grocery store, going through the process of selecting your groceries, purchasing your groceries, getting them home, storing them, putting them up, keeping your refrigerator clean, preparing your food. There are people that actually do portions, where they portion it out for the week or whatnot, so they can minimize their cooking. It just seems to be a lot more convenient for a lot of people to go through the drive-through at Chick-fil-A, get the phenomenal customer service that they're known for, and then when you come home, all you have to do is either put it in the air fryer or eat it out the bag. It's like you're wondering where, like, how does this benefit me, right? So they're definitely, if you're doing it for the convenience, you're probably going to come up short in some areas, right? So it also, intermittent fasting, that kind of goes hand in hand, is reducing chronic illnesses. I know for myself, I have dealt with a lot of inflammation actually since I was a child. I was dealing with so much joint pain at one point that it prevented me from the ability to play sports. But my family knew what they knew. They passed down what they knew. The foods that were being prepared were probably the largest, if not the most primary component of the inflammation, of the pain, of the monthly menses that I was having, that would put me in so much discomfort and literally pain that I would miss school. I couldn't go to school because I couldn't sit up at a desk. These things actually prevent us from getting well and from experiencing that quality of life that we talk about. Another particular reason to fast, or to intermittent fast, and you can, do this. Fasting is an entire subject. It's an entire area of broad conversation, broad debates. You got some people that don't believe in that fasting has more benefits than it does not benefiting the body. But I'm just saying, for the sake of conversation, that there's just so many different avenues and components to fasting, that there we have to talk about this, the cellular rejuvenation and repair. When your body is not breaking down food, when it's resting, as Celia said, or absolutely resetting the body, and it's not working overtime to break food down, then it can focus on the healing process, on the rejuvenation process. Our bodies rejuvenate and replenish itself. It repairs itself. When you get a cut or a burn or a bruise of some sort, then you watch it over time. Your body, literally, you can watch it in real time. As the days go by, your body is healing itself. Those cuts seal itself into a scab. And then if it heals itself properly and it wasn't, too deep, then you don't even notice it was there. Same thing with the bruise, same thing with burns, right? When you deal in, we talked about the inflammation. A big one also, of course, logically thinking, when you do a lot of fasting or you implement fasting into your daily regimen, is gut health, improved gut health. That's a big one. Our stomachs and our gut is our second brain. In some cultures, our gut is actually classified as being the most important organ of the body, more important than the one that's sitting on top of the shoulders, right? So it is super important and yet super, super complex to understand. But when you look at it from a particular perspective, that the less you work something, right, the less you tax it, the less strain you put on it, the more optimal and the more regular it will operate in the capacity that it was designed, right? Another big improvement that I found to be personally super beneficial when it comes to intermittent fasting is concentration, my brain function. The brain function absolutely benefits because your blood isn't rushing to the gut to digest and break food down, right? So you're absolutely, like they call it, there's so many different terms, but first one comes to mind for me is the cloudy brain, or actually, I lost my thought. But I know your brain gets convoluted, it gets cloudy, your thinking is not as clear, your memory is affected. I noticed for me, when I was not taking care of myself and my health, and I was actually poisoning my body, my brain was the most frustrating besides the gut health for me. In order to absolutely be able to function, just doing menial, everyday tasks was just, it was just gut wrenching, no pun intended, right? Can't function with the bad gut. Come on now. You can't do anything, especially when you're bloated, when you can tell something's off. Everything, every major organ in our bodies are interconnected. One affects the other, whether you feel it's a direct connection or not. A lot of times, like when you go, one of the effects of newly fasting, or and implementing that into our journey, could be headaches, right? It's a form of detoxification. So why would my head hurt as a result of me feeling like I'm starving myself? Because your body is detoxifying and it's trying to reset itself and regulate itself to operate in the way that it was designed to do so. A couple of more areas where I feel like intermittent fasting will be super noticeably provide improvement, and that is one of those is improved sleep quality. Y'all, this is why it is suggested, highly suggested, and our ancestors did not eat after the sunset. Because when you lay down, your body struggles to digest food, and it can create so many different other, issues, problems, illnesses. If one area of your body, just like if your heart health is not good, or if you have a weak heart, or your heart is not doing what it was designed to do on an optimal level, that blood is not going to pump at the suggested or the needed rate through the other organs. Therefore, it will cause other organs to suffer and eventually, in some instances, in many instances, fail, right? If you have a toxic gut, it's going to make your blood toxic. The blood goes through every organ of the body, right? So if it's flowing through the liver, if it's going through the kidney, if it's pumping through the brain, behind the eye gates, the chest area, all the way down to the feet, the toes, the extremity, poor circulation. All of these things are absolutely connected, right? So for women, particularly on this, even though it also applies to men, hormonal balance can be achieved without medication through intermittent fasting, providing that when you do eat, you are eating foods that feed the body and not just feed your mouth, right? So I just wanted to throw that in there. And then the last one that I'm going to mention is it is considered by many to give your life more longevity and have some anti-aging effects. Just like when they talk about the pineapple with the organs, the sexual organs, and how there's a direct correlation and effect on that. If you're eating something or your habits are poor, you're going to know that by the openings and the canals in your body, right? Your mouth, your private areas, the front and the back, all of that. Your ears, if you have an excess amount of wax coming out of your ears, if it's super hard, just so many different things and so many different ways that you can absolutely, these are things that definitely can be improved upon your quality of life if you just implement some intermittent fasting. The first video that I would like to present is going to be, it's to show a comparison. I don't want it all to be fast, because we realistically and like keeping it a buck, we live in an environment, if you live in this country, the United States, where food is just way too accessible and it's celebrated in a fashion where all of the wrong foods tend to be utilized for sustenance. People don't really take into account. That's why we have a medical industry with pharma, with the hospitals, with quick cares, urgent cares, obesity, even like particularly in children. You have a lot of children that are just huge, and they should not be, and that starts from whoever is providing them with the foods, who's ever, giving them the foods. And you're not only are you providing it for them, you are teaching them how to treat themselves through sustenance. And that's super important. One of the books that I highly recommend, it's an older publication, but it stands true and tall to this very day, is Eat to Live, and not live to eat. Okay. Now, when you do something celebratory, that's one thing. Like I was speaking on the Thanksgiving menu, right? That this country definitely promotes. And people run out to the grocery stores to grab all the sweet potatoes or the yams and all of the turkeys and the macaroni and cheese and all the cheeses. All these corporations make all this money, and we take that food home and then we feed it, we prepare it out of love, and then we feed it to our families and say that we love our family members. There's a level of hypocrisy there. I am definitely guilty of it myself. So that's why I only do it one day a year, because other than that, I am a lot more conscientious. Not saying that every now and again I don't feel like cooking, but I make it my business, as long as I am responsible for feeding other people, to definitely, my labor of love mostly comes from providing things that will aid them and won't make them sick. It won't cause an overstimulation of mucus to develop into colds, coughs, flu, pneumonia, things that linger. It seems like a lot of these illnesses are just lingering on and on and on and on, longer and longer, because of the toxins and the contaminants and the chemicals and all of these other things that are put into our food. Great time to go ahead and show this video.
Only eating junk food for a day. For breakfast, I had an onion bagel slightly over toasted with a pound of garlic cream cheese. You heard me right, a pound. And yes, I slightly burned the bagel because I forgot it was in the toaster, okay? But it was still so good. And look at all of that cream cheese just dripping out the sides. And I always start my morning off with a Coke, so of course I'm gonna have a Coke today. My trick for a crispy at-home Coke is definitely ready ice with a cold Coke from the fridge. Later for lunch, I decided to go get the heart-shaped platter of chocolate chip cookies from Chick-fil-A. These were so good, extra warm and chocolatey today. I'm obsessed. For my snack, I had some whipped cream. Who doesn't love just shoving whipped cream in their mouth? Come on. Whipped cream can turn anyone's day around. For dinner, I had the Steak and Shake 7x7 cheeseburger. This thing was massive, but so good, so greasy. And of course, I made it a large combo because why not? I love Steak and Shake's large Coke size. It is so good, so crispy. This is like the best Coke ever. It made my day. And it came with a large fry, and those fries are so salty. It took me forever to finish this damn cheeseburger, but it was so worth it. Later, I was craving a Sonic Blast for dessert, so I went out and I got a large Oreo Sonic Blast, and I added whipped cream, of course. I haven't had a Sonic Blast in a hot minute, so it definitely hit the spot. It was so good.
So she made that like it was a good thing, right? All that sugar, all that grease. The cheese it doesn't even look real. We don't know what the burger meat is made from. She had several patties, but yet and still she looked like she was $1.50 on a wet day, right? I'm gonna leave that alone. I digress. If you know, you know. It is what it is. However, whether it was for camera purposes, video, appeal, whatever the case is, it's videos like that that get millions of views, hundreds of thousands of views, and then it's replicated by other people. And if they put their own little original spin on it, but this is what's being marketed to our children. This is what's being marketed to our people. This is what's being marketed as being the thing to do, the way to eat. It's acceptable. Nobody is talking about the hospital bills, the diabetes, all of the different illnesses, the cancer. We have people being diagnosed in their 20s. We have more children's hospitals that are treated with chemo and radiation than we've ever had before. When at one point for centuries, it was always considered to be an old person's disease. And now we have children and young adults getting double mastectomies, getting their female reproductive organs removed, passing away because they're not being properly diagnosed, but yet and still every day they get up and they eat the wrong things, right? It's not easy, but it can be done. You have to have a made up mind. That's just it in a nutshell. I'm not going to belabor the point and reiterate it another 1,000 ways. It is what it is. I'm just not giving medical advice. I am just reiterating my journey and giving testimonies and some suggestions from other people that have yielded good results from the same outcome of fasting, of intermittent fasting, of eating the right foods. And I'm telling you, it will change your life if you can implement it as a lifestyle. It will change your life, y'all.